What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another Solana update. You guys just love the Solana updates. They are the #1 viewed videos on my channel, and so of course for that reason, while things are looking a little bit rough, I have been really targeting Solana, as it does seem that is where you guys' interests are. Now, looking at Solana, what we have been covering recently has been the breaking of this descending triangle in which we've been stuck in realistically since December of last year, but I mean, an argument could be made that it's been since September. Now, what we've known and what we've been paying the closest amount of attention to is that as we did see this breakout here with the rest of the market seeing some growth, that we were going to need to see three key steps. Okay, three key steps. Now, key step number one was that we were going to break out of the descending triangle, the trend line to the top side, and hold it. That was very, very important. Secondly, was going to be that we were going to be able to work our way back up and establish this new high. So that new high was going to be needed to be established above $120. And then, of course, the final step was just putting in the higher low before continuing to the upside. The reason being is because you break out of a downtrend, you set a higher high, you set a higher low, you are now in a confirmed uptrend, a new phase of the market. You can then establish this as a distinct bottom. And so for that reason, we will then be able to say, okay, bullish reversal is now here. Okay. And now we are currently still working on step number two. But as we are working on step number two, something very interesting is forming on the charts that says that a big move is very likely going to happen pretty soon here. Let me explain what that is. Now, first and foremost, let's start off with the daily charts and just look at what's happening. So what's happening is that we are running into a daily level of resistance right here. Now, this was relatively expected. Not only was this the most recent macro high right over here, as you can see at $106, but we also did get a bounce of resistance off of the 50-day moving average, similar to what we saw back here. What we know about Solana is that historically, it will use this 50-day moving average as either support when it's above it or resistance when it's below it. And it is very important that when we're above it, we stay above it, and we're below it, that we get back above it, right? So it's no surprise that we are seeing a bit of resistance here, okay? But it is important that we are going to get back above it relatively soon, okay? Now, if we look at something like the hourly charts, right, we can see that Solana has done a lot of consolidating. And I told you guys, that is very possible. I said, once we break this trend line, look for this thing to either consolidate or look for it to just slowly drift back to the downside while we are trying to establish support and allow the bulls to relax now that they've made such an impressive move to the top side. But one thing we can see is a drive of double-sided divergence in which we are setting higher lows and we are seeing higher highs, but on our hourly RSI, we are seeing lower highs and lower lows. Now, many people consider this to be many things, but I do consider this to be inherently bullish. Now, the reason that I believe that this is inherently bullish is that the bears are now succeeding in pushing the momentum back down and taking back control of the market. But as they have been controlling the momentum, the relative strength, that while they are slowing this move down, we have still had success in continuing the uptrend. And now typically what I've noticed happens from this is that we will see something of this nature in which we kind of go up while this trend's down. We see a capitulation event to the downside in which the price just kind of drops pretty quickly. We find some support and we continue upwards as this RSI resets. Now, is that going to happen? Of course, I have no idea, but that is typically what I see happen more often than not. We saw that happen with Bitcoin a few days ago, right? In which we saw this subtle uptrend, the capitulation event, this reset happen, and then we continue to the top side, okay? So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but overall, this is inherently bullish in my opinion, and I think there can be many bullish takeaways from what we are seeing right now, especially considering that we are holding outside the trend line. But since we can expect that there is going to be a pretty sharp move probably to happen relatively soon with Solana, I'm going to give you guys the range that I'm watching out for right now, and it is pretty crucial that we do get back above it or that we stay above the level of support. Okay, so the range in which I'm going to be paying attention to is going to be between $106 and $91 because we have a very interesting setup right now in that if we do see the kind of pullback, right? We say we see a capitulation event, a little short-term liquidity pull right here in which we do just boom, we spike down towards $91, we do have the possibility of establishing this previous level of support as another level of support, reestablishing there and putting in something of this inverse head and shoulders. We've been seeing these inverse head and shoulders forming everywhere on the charts, and some of them have been fulfilling to see very strong breakouts to the upside. So we need to be paying close attention to the fact that if we do roll here and we do start to find support around $91, be looking for that breakout back above 106. And in the event in which we see that happen, in which we see that exact setup form, we do have a breakout target that sits way back up towards $150, which just so happens to be a perfect breakout target right to our most recent rejectional high once we clear 118. So I would say that's a very justifiable and valid breakout target with a lot of confluence with, you know, key levels of resistance there. I would say that makes a lot of sense, okay? Now, if we are to come back down and lose $91 at this point, what I would say is that do expect that we will start to roll probably back towards this $85 area, as it has served as significant for a while. Now, will we lose this one? I honestly don't think so. You know, looking at the shorter time frames, especially something like the 4 hourlies, we are already working our way back towards the 50, and I think that at that point we would start to find a bottom relatively soon. And so with that being said, I think that if we are going to lose 91, expect to fall to 85-ish, and I am going to be taking on a bit of a short trade with the expectancy that that happens. But if at any given point we do bounce off of 91 and cross 106, or we just cross 106 in this 50-day moving average on its own, I am expecting that push back up to our breakout goal, which is 118. And you guys know if we cross 118, I will be doing a mass accumulation there, especially considering the fact that we are still in bullish territory on our MACD here, and on the weekly perspective, we are still getting very, very close to finally seeing this move back towards the upside, in which bullish momentum does kick into the market. Do understand that if we are capable of hitting 118, this bullish divergence that we've been tracking will be confirmed, and that's what is the beauty of this move, is that if we put in this low, higher low, and we establish this as a higher low by clearing 118, we will confirm this is bullish divergence as we have a low and a lower low, which says that although the bears were capable of pushing the momentum back down and slowing the bulls down, the bulls were capable of still setting the higher low, continuing the uptrend. And then from there, usually as the bears do weaken, the bulls will really kick back in with full force, and who knows, maybe we see a $300 Solana down the line. So overall, the range right now is let's go ahead and get this put up again. There we go. $105, which was the rejectional high and where the 50-day moving average currently is, and $91. I would say the breaking of either one of these levels is a huge indicator of where this thing goes over the next couple of days, possibly the next couple of weeks. And I think trading to the bottom side if we lose 91, or trading to the top side if we clear 105 and we really break 108 or 118 would be a fantastic move. It's one that I am personally taking on. Do understand I'm not a financial advisor, so you should consult with one before making purchases. But personally speaking, I don't like to, on my channel, you know, kind of say, oh, this is where it's going or this is where it's not going. I like to say, hey, these are two confirmations. Bottom side confirmation says if we lose this level, likelihood is we continue down to the bottom side, and a short trade is available there. And if we are going to break to the top side, this is where we can expect there to be a very strong level of resistance. We break it, do expect a retesting back up towards 118. We break 118, we're very likely good to 150 plus. Okay, so you guys know, again, I'm not trying to tell you guys what's going to happen in the future, but prepare you for any outcome and how we can maximize gains no matter where this market goes. Okay, and before we do wrap this video up, I do want to remind you guys again that all of these mass accumulations that I am doing have been over on iTrust Capital. I've pretty much stopped using my typical brokers at this point, just because I don't see the point in spending up to 40% on all of the gains that I'm going to make over 5 years, 10 years on taxes. It just does not make sense, right? I think everyone should figure out a way in which they can start trading tax-free in a legal way, obviously, and iTrust provides that 100%. And so I suggest genuinely that everyone at least just sign up for an account. It's totally free. Whenever they send you your email after you press this create account button, just verify your email. Once you do that, you can see all of the packages they offer and the things that you can get in order to save yourself a lot of money. It does not make sense to be just paying a bunch on taxes if you don't need to, especially if you're a long-term holder. I genuinely recommend everyone do that, okay? But with that being said, that is going to be about it for today's video, and I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you can always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace.